Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Iron Purpose Podcast. My name is Bailey Belter, and I am your host. And it's just me today. Don't have another guest. I'm just going to get me and my thoughts and stuff I've been thinking about lately. And that's exactly what I have been thinking about lately is my thoughts and the thoughts that are inside your head. What's in your head? Featuring the song "Zombie." If you've heard it, what's in your head? It's been in my head thinking what kind of thoughts am I putting into my head? What kind of thoughts am I allowing to go through my mind, cross my mind, and not only come in, but also alter my attitude, alter my mood? Is it good thoughts that are coming in and changing me and making me joyful and happy? Or is it thoughts of anxiety, anxious thoughts? Is it thoughts of worry, nerves, fear, whatever it is? And how much control am I giving that thought? I'm just taking the keys to my mind, the keys to everything that controls who I am, and just handing it over to the enemy and letting them make me think that I am not enough, making me think that I am unworthy of the position that I am, not fit for being a dad. I'm a loser. I can't do anything right. Um, you're failing. You're not in shape. You're a phony. All these things. And why do you have a podcast about staying sharp and helping each other out when you can't even do it yourself? And those are all things that go through my mind. Essentially, I've just been thinking a lot about my thoughts, thinking about what I'm thinking about, and especially when I'm in deep in the middle of them, and when they're pulling me down, and I kind of have to check them at the door. I say, think of the analogy of you're standing there. There's a party going on. There's a good time. There's joy. There's happiness. There's peace. There's comfort. There's all this wonderful things going on in this room behind me, and I'm standing at the door, and anxiety comes walking up, and I go, "Yeah, you're not here. See you later." Like that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to do. That's the kind of thing I'm trying to check it at the door, analyze it, see if it's on the list, and if it's not here, we're kicking you out of there because we're having a good time inside. That's how it should be. Um, I think about life and what is the purpose of life. As a believer, for me, it's to find joy. It's to follow God as much as I can, try to be as close to His word as I can as far as what it says, and I'm far from it. I'll be the first to admit I got a lot of different flaws and a lot of different things that I'm working on, and I think that's just human. But as long as we're trying, we're working towards those goals. We're working towards that. That's what counts, and you just got to keep trying and keep moving. But that, as well as making heaven crowded, doing everything that I can to try to bring people up with me, and that's what community is all about, and that's what this podcast is all about. It's iron sharpening iron, bringing people together, trying to sharpen each other in this journey that we call life, this game that we call life. Now, I'm not a huge game fan. I'm a fan of like Xbox playing Madden, or football, whatever that may be. But as far as board games go, card games, I'll do it, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. Maybe it's because I'm not very good at a lot of them. But anyway, the goal of a game is to win, or to try to do everything you can to put yourself in a position to win. Now, life is the same way. We have a goal to try to win, to try to maximize our human experience, to make it as fun and as good as that we can, to prosper, to find joy. And I'll the fun part. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that are fun for the human experience, and from a worldly view that'll get you into trouble. So it's tread lightly. But I think the goal is to just maximize our human existence, human experience. We don't have a long time on this earth, and I think it's important to be able to share joy, to be joy, to help other people experience that. Because we all have these highest of highs that we are able to experience. And now, listening to this, you may be thinking of different things that you got to do this past year, or even the past couple years, or even in your life. You think about just the highest points. And I was thinking, and for me, it was watching my wife walk down the aisle. There's a photo of me, and I'm losing it. I'm crying. And just the other day, I was home with my son, and he wasn't feeling the greatest. And I was feeding him a bottle, and he was holding onto my hand. I have another picture of that. And it was just super special. You feel those moments of just complete gratitude, complete joy when your little baby is holding onto your hand, or you're watching your spouse walk down the aisle. Getting to experience really cool things, whether it's traveling, seeing really cool sights. Like this is on my desk, but just getting to see the statue of David in Italy last summer or the end of last summer was an amazing experience, and getting to just do some things that I've been able to do. It's really cool. I'm really blessed, and I'm full of gratitude for those moments, the highest of highs in our life. Now, there are times when there are lows, and really deep lows, and There are things that are above just a mental perspective shift. In order to correct these really low lows, there's deaths that occur. There's maybe you lose your job. Maybe there's, fill in the blank, whatever it is that you're struggling with, things that you've gone through, those really low lows that our minds just really can't comprehend. And a perspective shift in our mind is not going to heal that hurt, that low. A couple weeks ago, during a football game, I can't remember who they were playing against, but it was the Cowboys were playing against somebody, and there was a defensive lineman, and I can't remember if he was a rookie or not, but he was very young. He's not very old at all, and he had an opportunity to be in the NFL. And I'm sure he worked his whole entire life and fought. People sacrificed for him to get to where he was, and he had to battle to get there. It's no easy task to be in the NFL. There was a blocked punt. It was a special teams play. It was either a blocked punt or a blocked field goal, and he was able to pick it up and get a touchdown off of it. Now, a defensive end doesn't have a lot of opportunities to get a touchdown. Whether it could be a fumble, could be an interception if they're lucky or if they're set up in the right position, but it just doesn't happen a lot. This young man was able to get a touchdown, and the whole stadium was erupting and screaming. You have millions of people watching around the U.S., around the world, watching this moment of you standing in the end zone with a football, and you're forever etched in the NFL, not record books, but recording stats, I guess. You were stamped in there as having a touchdown in the National Football League. And there's millions and millions of kids, people with dreams and goals who wish that they could be in that exact moment. Now talk about highest of highs, being in a stadium, everybody's cheering and chanting your name, and you just did something really good for your team. Your team is coming around you, they're hugging you, they're high-fiving, and you're just stoked about it. And you're probably thinking about keeping that football, framing it someday, telling your kids about it. And a few short days later, I don't even think it was a week later, that same young man who was just on the highest of highs, riding that wave of emotions of just joy, pure bliss, just at the mountain peak of his professional career, of getting to where he was, battling to where he was to get that touchdown, his first touchdown. He found himself in a porta potty, mental health, whatever the enemy had throwing around in his mind, with a firearm, and he ended up taking his own life because whatever burden he was carrying, whatever heaviness, whatever evil was going through his mind and convincing him that he wasn't enough, that he wasn't worth the battle that he was going through, he ended up taking his own life. And to hear that story, just, it is so tough to even fathom what he was thinking, what he was going through in those last moments, to where he wasn't able to escape that. Now, again, there are those lowest of lows. There are very low things that keep us down, that hurt us really bad. And I'm not discrediting those. I'm not discrediting what this young man went through. But to feel so alone in that moment, lost in your mind, stuck in your mind, to the point where it makes you forget about everything else. It makes you forget about the highest of highs that you had. It makes you forget about the family that you have, the things that are going good in your life. And it makes you go, you know what, I'm done. And for him, that was the case. And my heart goes out to him and his family and anybody else struggling in that capacity. I've dealt with some anxiety and a little bit of depression in the past, but that is to feel it to that extent, to what a lot of people are feeling it, and you may be feeling it now. And I am not perfect. I come on here and I try to talk. I think this is a way for me to get my words out of my own mind, to think about what I'm thinking about, and almost like a journaling session in a way. But I am far from perfect. And me coming on here and talking about this stuff isn't me saying, this is how you should do things. This is how it's supposed to be. This is how I do it. And, your life's going to be perfect. Because everything's going to be just fine. I think everything will be fine, but I am not a professional in any of these topics. And something that just came to my mind when I think it was 2 summers ago now, my cousin and her now husband asked me to officiate their wedding and be the person that married them. At first, I'm like, yeah, wow, what an honor. This is amazing. And then the very next thing, as I'm researching, trying to think of advice, trying to think of things I could tell them, I'm like, I've only been married a year myself. Who am I to try to give this advice to these people? And my pastor had sat down and talked to me, and he said, just, you're human. Own up to that right away. tell people that, hey, I'm no expert. It's something that I'm battling, something that I'm trying to do to grow in my marriage, to grow in my relationship with my wife. It's a never ending journey. There's no one thing solves all the problems. You're going to be battling, you're going to keep going, and that's what this is. It's something that we're putting together. It's a continual battle. It's a continual climb of that mountain in our mind, that mountain in our lives, and marriage is one of them. And so for me, I went up there and I told everybody, I'm not an expert at this. I'm not a professional, husband by any means, and cleared the air there, and then still shared, from my experiences, still was able to share from what I've gone through in my marriage in that short time, and try to explain to them how that they can take that and grow their own marriage. That being said, this similarly, I haven't been in a dark enough place to where I ever felt like I was that low to where I had to feel like I was. You get what I'm saying without actually going there. I think you understand what I'm getting at. It's real stuff, and I'm not discrediting that. It's real, it's awful, it's painful, it's dark, it's pure evil coming into our minds. And there are a lot of different situations where we are very, very down. Thinking about this, and a song, I was going to drop my son off at daycare this morning, and a song came on, and I remembered I remembered some lyrics throughout the song, and how applicable it is to what I was trying to say today, or what I'm trying to say now. And it's from NF. He's a rapper. So if you're not into rap, that's fine. But I feel like these words can still be applicable to you. In his song, The Search, there's a part, he says, yeah, the sales can rise. He's selling his music. He's making money. Doesn't mean much, though, when your health declines. See, we've all got something that we trapped inside, that we try to suffocate, hoping it dies. That darkness, that evil, that whatever it is that's bringing us down, that's telling us that we're not enough. We try to suffocate it, hoping it dies. Try to hold it underwater, but it always survives. Then it comes up out of nowhere like an evil surprise. Then it hovers over you to tell you millions of lies. He goes on to say, you don't relate to that? Must not be as crazy as I am. The point I'm making is the mind is a powerful place. And what you feed it can affect you. And what you feed it can affect you in a powerful way. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah, but it's not always safe. Just hang with me. This will only take a moment, okay? Just think about it for a second. If you look at your face every day when you get up and think you'll never be great, you'll never be great. Not because you're not, but the hate will always find a way to cut you up and murder your faith. So what he's saying is, you look in the mirror and you say you're not going to be enough. You look in the mirror and you say, I'm never going to amount to anything. You let these thoughts come into your mind. And, even last night, as I was thinking about this again, and situations keep coming up that just helps bring this point forward, we were sitting on the couch, and my son had ripped his socks off because that's what he likes to do. And my dog, Sully, decided he wanted to grab one and jump up at the couch with it. I got on top of him, and I was trying to get it out of his mouth, but it was like his jaw was completely shut all the way around the sock. And I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to get that. And typically when he gets a sock, he likes to just flip it around and play with it or whatever. So I was like, yeah, whatever. That's what's going to happen. Jumps off the couch, and I see him make a swallowing motion, and the sock is nowhere to be found. The dog ate the sock. All of a sudden, there's just a panic kind of ensues, and Courtney runs in to get the hydrogen peroxide because you give them some of that. Based on their weight, you give them a certain dose of it, and it helps to induce vomiting to get the sock out or whatever it is they swallowed. And she's telling me, we gotta hurry, this and that. And I'm perceiving it as it's my fault because I didn't get the sock. That's how I'm feeling. I'm telling myself this story in my mind as I'm trying to get the stuff prepared. And she's saying, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. I'm thinking it's all my fault. She's mad at me. Why didn't I get the sock out of his mouth? And, then I'm going and we get some of the stuff in his mouth. It's like he's not swallowing it all the way. And so we're waiting for him to vomit. And 10 minutes, 15 minutes goes by, and I have to do it again. And I'm holding on to him, and I'm trying to get him in there while doing a jiu-jitsu move to get him to stop moving. All my emotions just came out, and I just start tearing up, and tears are falling down. And Courtney's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yes, let's just get this over with. And my just emotional state was just all over the place. And my mind was telling me all these different things in the moment. Like, why did you let him do that? Now you're hurting your dog because you can't get this stuff down in his throat, and he's in pain, and you're squeezing him too hard. And all these different things are going through my mind. And after the fact, we finally, thank God, he finally puked and we got it out. We were able to work together and get it out. I'm driving to Walmart because we got to get him some rice or something now to help with his stomach in the meantime. And I'm driving back and I'm kind of looking at the situation now from out here and thinking about what I wanted to say for this podcast and applying it to those thoughts and saying, you just, you gave your thoughts the keys. You let those negative things take over you and you identified with them in that moment. So after getting home, I go inside and I apologize to Courtney and she's like, no, it's totally fine. That was a lot for all of us. It was just unnecessary. We have other things going on. We're tired and we had to deal with that. And it wasn't as bad as what I was thinking it out to be. My mind is telling me all this stuff. I'm hurting my dog and whatever. And I got back from Walmart and he was jumping up on me, happy to see me, even though he just spent the last hour trying to avoid me because I was trying to put this nasty stuff in his mouth to make him throw up. That's a lot. That was a lot to have to handle in that moment. But he's doing well. We're good. But if I were to not reconcile with that, if I were not to get those memories out of my mind, wipe it, get a clean slate, start fresh in the morning, had I woken up, looked in the mirror and thought, man, I'm a failure. Man, I let my dog eat that sock. Man, I had to hold him down to try to get it in there and he hated me for it. And you start to think about these things and then you move on to the next thing. The next thing you see is your son. Maybe he's crying. Whatever it may be, those thoughts, they go with you if you don't check them at the door. If you don't stand there with your list and go, you're not invited in here, you can leave. A couple weeks ago, my father-in-law was over and he was helping me out with some stuff, as he always does. Shout out Dave, Rockstar. We were putting a TV up on the wall and I had to go outside to get a tool. So I go out there and looking through my toolbox to try to find it, and a bird flies over my head. I look up. What in the world? The garage door is open. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll open up the other garage door, and then I'll open up the back service door to give him optimal opportunity to fly out of my garage. Go back inside, come back out about 20 minutes later, and this bird is still flying around at the ceiling of our garage. And the garage doors are open, so he's kind of up above the garage doors. And so I go and get one of those big leaf rakes to try to just guide him out and down. And no success. He still kept flying around, and just the sheer panic as he's trying to just keep flying. And then he lands up top of the garage, and I can just see what he's thinking. He's processing, I'm never going to get out of this garage. Why did I come in here? I'm never going to be able to see my family again. I can't get out. When in all reality, all he had to do was fly out and see one of the 45% openings in my garage to get out of there. There's a couple walls. Sure, there's a ceiling, but there's plenty of opportunity for him to have got out of there. Later on in the day, I went to go get a checkup done, to do like a biometric screening for insurance purposes, whatever. And they prick your finger and they test your blood and just kind of give you a rundown of things as almost like a physical, like a yearly exam thing on your blood work. And they gave me a cotton swab and a little Band-Aid that I put on it. And I'm driving home from this appointment, and I noticed that my finger is not on the steering wheel. My whole hand is wrapped around all the other fingers, but the one that has the Band-Aid on it is not on the steering wheel. And I can almost feel like a strain in my finger. Look down, I'm like, what am I doing? And I feel it. It's like, there's no pain. There's a Band-Aid on it, but there's no pain. I rip it off, throw it, and go back to just driving. Well, I was thinking how similar both of those stories are and how much weight they carry. This bird was flying around in my garage thinking that he was going to die, probably. Who knows? Maybe he's not thinking that. It appeared he was. Thinking he's never going to get out, he's trapped, and all he had to do was look for the opening. All he had to do was turn around. All he had to do was look down and say, oh, this whole garage is open on this side. And there's even a back door open for me to get out too. He eventually got out. I left it open the rest of the day, and he eventually found his way out and probably felt like an idiot, as I did last night, after the situation with the dog. The Band-Aid. Similarly, we are perfectly fine. We are healthy. We are capable. We are able. And when something happens, we get what I've heard is called, it's like a skill amnesia. You forget what you have learned. You forget what you've trained. You forget what you're capable of. And that's like what happened when I was at work and I got hit in the face. Everything was textbook. He hit me. I created distance, drew my taser, went to another option, and he ended up complying. We got him cuffed. We got him out of there. No further incident, no other issues. But for some reason, every time I thought about that, every time thought about going to work for a couple weeks after that, I thought, man, I'm not enough. I'm the use of force instructor and I got punched in the face. How can I teach other people how to do this when I can't seem to avoid it myself? I very much enjoy mixed martial arts. I train at the gym. I do all these different things, and yet he got me in the face, and it was like that Band-Aid. Like I had a perfectly capable finger, but I wasn't using it because it had a Band-Aid wrapped around it. That is what I have to take off of my mind. There's that Band-Aid, there's that open garage door, but I'm trapped up in the rafters, and it's limiting my beliefs in myself. It's making me think that the situation that I'm in is far worse than what it actually is. And that's the point that I'm trying to get across. That young man for the Cowboys got to experience the highest of highs, and not too much longer after that, he got so wrapped up in his mind of what was going on and acted on it. And I can't say that I know how he felt. I can't say that I know what he was going through. I can only sit back and see it from this point of view. But what could have happened? What could have changed had he remembered who he was and whose he was? He had a family that loved him. He was a Dallas Cowboy and just scored a touchdown with a huge career ahead of him. All of these different things that we can think about, and our mind tries to tell us that we're not enough. Our mind, this anxiety, this depression, these different things that are in the news, just all this evil stuff that's going on. It's bad. There's wars going on. How much longer is the world even going to be around? And we kind of lose sight of what the goal is, what the purpose is. And we're all here together. That's one thing. We're all experiencing this thing together. We all get an opportunity to live in this life. And there's another song that I was listening to. I believe it's called Beartooth, or it's by Beartooth, called Alive. Like, we all live, but not all of us are alive. We all get to experience life, but not all of us are alive while we're doing it. There's another song by Hardy, and I think it's called We're All Gonna Die. And that's one thing that we all have in common. One thing that all of us are going to go through is that we're all going to face death at some point in our lives. So why not try to see what this world has to offer carefully, respectfully, and maximize our human experience, maximize what God has given us. Try to find that joy, try to be that positivity, try to be that light. Because what's the point in walking around depressed, angry? And again, I understand there's sometimes stuff that you can't control, where you need more help, you need more assistance, and a perspective change isn't going to be the quick fix. But maybe you can add a little bit to the mundane things, the day-to-day things that we're going through. We talk about the minor inconveniences of our lives, looking for the minor conveniences. I think about last year when I was for hunting opener. I got to go out Saturday afternoon and spend some time with the family at the hunting land, and didn't see anything. There was no deer. This is last year, and we get done hanging out, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drive home now because I got to go to work tomorrow. Make it like 2 miles away from the hunting camp and smoke a deer. Smoke it. The whole right front of my vehicle is just bashed in, damaged, stuff's hanging down. I was so upset. And it cost about $7,000 to get the whole thing repaired. Thank God for insurance. That's kind of a major inconvenience, but in this case, a minor inconvenience that is really unfortunate. How often do we not think about the minor conveniences in our lives where a deer hops up and, oh, stay, and he stays, and we keep going? Like, taking an extra second to go, thank you. Thank you for not allowing that deer to jump up in front of me. Maybe you're running late for work and you hit all green lights on the way there. You're like, oh, thank you. I did it. Rather than thinking about, shoot, I'm running late. Come on, we got to hit these green lights. We got to go. Like, trying to focus on just the little things, the positive things that we can think about to help maximize our day, maximize our attitudes, because that's something that we carry with us. That's something that's going to transfer when we go into work. And there's no point in just moping around and being a zombie through this experience that we get to call life. So what's in your head? What are the things that you're thinking about? And maybe, I encourage you today to think about that. When you do get a negative thought, when somebody does say something, don't just take it at face value. Maybe dive into it a little bit and stand there with your book of your guest list for your mind. Have that mental picture of yourself. There's a party going on behind you. Everybody's having fun. Everybody's being safe. Things are great. There's nothing but joy, peace, comfort, everything. And you get to stand there at the front of your mind with your guest list and check everybody in at the door. Anxiety is going to come up. Depression is going to come up. There's going to be minor and major inconveniences that come up. You have the list. And I encourage you to cross it off and kick them out of there. Grab some other people if you need to. I like to say that I'll try to be there for anybody that I can. If anything, I'll pray for you. I'll pray with you. I'll send you a Bible verse. I'll try to refer you to people that I have worked with before who are professionals in certain capacities, whether it's at a gym, whether it's trying to get hooked up with a local church, whether it's, you need some mental help with mental health, talking to a therapist. Like, those are all things that I've done, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. So please reach out. If you're struggling mentally, if you're struggling with different things, find somebody that you can have help you, coach you through things, work through things with you, and or even just listen to what you have to say. They might be able to help you out. They might be able to get you in the right direction. It's not worth trying to spend your day alone, try to get through things alone. It's not worth carrying all that weight when somebody else can help you take it off, especially if you're in a position like this young man who played for the Dallas Cowboys. Reach out before you get to that point. There's always a better day. There's always a situation that's going to be bad, but there's always a situation that's going to turn into good. There's going to be good that comes out of something. We just have to look for it. We just have to find it. Thank you for coming to this episode of My Mind and just spewing my thoughts. Whether you listen to it or not, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to do this and just kind of get things off my own chest. It's a way that I get to kind of meditate. It's a way that I kind of get to journal by just speaking my mind. And I appreciate those who are listening. And I appreciate any feedback. If you have any feedback on an episode, especially one like this where it's me just spewing my thoughts out, if something stood out to you, please let me know. I'd like to talk to you about it. I'd like to talk with you about it. And I'm always open to considerations or feedback on any of it. With that, this is the Iron Purpose Podcast. Stay sharp, everybody.